You're listening to the Shipyard Cat Podcast, the unofficial SAFC podcast for fans everywhere.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the pod. In the hot seat today is myself, Kev, and I'm joined by Robin as we give you our thoughts on the, I would say, exciting 0-0 draw against Manchester City at the Stadium of Light. And then after that, we're going to bring you our thoughts and feelings for this weekend's away game down at Tottenham. Seems like the games are thick and fast as it comes to the end of the festive period. At the time of recording, it is Friday. For those of you who don't know what day of the week it is right now. But yeah, joining me today is Robin. How you doing, mate? You all back home now?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah, obviously stayed up over the match last night. It's too late to drive back down after a night match. So, yeah, had a few beers out, in Sunderland, and then drove back down today. Yeah, and just settling down to the darts and stuff, and looking forward to Tottenham on Sunday.
I was going to say it was a cold one last night. And like you say, by the time everyone gets out of the stadium, it's like 10, 11 o'clock at night. By the time you kind of get yourself settled, no one's doing the journey home like you have. Like 4 or 5 hours in the car, you'd be crazy. You've got to feel for the away fans. They still had probably a good couple of hours trek home. If they're lucky, you're probably talking more 2 to 3 hours. Yeah, I'm not a fan of fixtures like that. It's not for the fans, it's for the football TV. It's all about revenue. It's not about the fans. If that was for the fans, that would have been a 3 o'clock kickoff on a normal-ish
Yeah.
schedule. But
I mean, all we got to do there, really, mate, is look at the next week ahead. We've got Tottenham on Sunday, an away match in London. Then Wednesday night, Brentford away, obviously in London. And then Saturday lunchtime, Everton away in the FA Cup.
yeah,
It's a bit bizarre, the amount of travelling and times they expect fans to make, just because they want to schedule certain games for TV.
no, absolutely. I mean, it's quite interesting. I saw a couple of Man City fans complaining about the game and saying the reason they couldn't get a result is because their players are tired, because they've played a lot of games over the period. Like, without sounding disrespectful, so is every other team in the division.
With smaller squads.
Yeah, Man City, who have got a bench of 42 players, but you get what I mean. Look, we're not here to criticise the scheduling, shall we say, of our beloved league, but we are here to talk about what I think is probably the most exciting 0-0 anyone will watch for years. That game had everything. Both teams, in my opinion, wanted it. Both teams, in my opinion, tried to get it. But at the end of the day, we kept them quiet. I think we kept them very, very quiet. I think I sent you the stats last night. Haaland had a total of 19 touches all game.
Yeah. Yeah, we've done a number on him, to be fair, in both games. We've kept him quiet, and I mean, there's not many teams that can do that. I mean, the discipline by the lads to perform like that and defend, putting everything on the line. But it's not just the defending, it's when we go forward, we attack as a team as well. We're not going, it's not a sole runner trying to do it all on his own. We're attacking as a team. And, like I say, the discipline involved. I mean, Rashid has got certainly all the lads on the same page. It's the message that he must be sending to them about work rate and, playing as a team. I mean, I'd love to be in one of the team meetings.
I would love to be a fly on the wall when they watch that back. That game, genuinely, for me, it's quite hard to really. I know, look, at the end of the day, Nordy got man of the match, but for me, it was quite hard to actually name a player that deserved it because they all gave something to the game. Mayenda, amazing effort for him on the wing. I thought Dingra did well. Robbie did well, other than missing his, a couple of clear-cut chances. Sirkin, I thought he was phenomenal. He kept, I think it was Cherky he was marking in the first half.
Yeah.
Kept him to nothing. Hume, brilliant on the other wing. Like, we could wax lyrical about all the lads, because for me, they all deserved man of the match. Xhaka, again, just controlling everything from the middle.
Yeah.
Roofs with a few blinding saves. I know, on commentary on Sky, I've watched a few bits back where they've said, oh, well, some of the saves were instinct. You still got to put yourself in the right position to go and get them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really disrespectful, goalkeepers, really, because, if it's instinct, that means he's got himself in the correct position. That's the things you work on in training. You work on your positioning so that you're in the optimum position to be able to stop the ball. I mean, but what we were saying about keepers, it was actually Donnarumma that made the better saves. To me, I think, Ruff's made a couple which, like you say, they're just quick reactions and things like that. But Donnarumma actually made the better saves. He kept a clean sheet, and I think another keeper, I think we're scoring. I think just the fact that Donnarumma is so big and, he's always been known as a shot stopper. His distribution's always been poor, and people question that, why he even went to City, why Pep would want him. But he showed last night why you want him, because, they're saying that Man City have dropped 2 points, which is a little bit disrespectful to us. But it wasn't just 2 points. He earned them a point. Because, like I say, if that had been Trafford in goal, I think we've scored. And I think that's the difference. I think, it's easy for the pundits to say that our Man City's dropped points, and, when really they should be saying Sunderland played absolutely fantastic, had opportunities to win the game themselves, and were so disciplined, they kept Man City out. Haaland's played, 180 minutes against us now and not scored.
Yeah, I believe we're the only team in the division he hasn't scored against.
Yeah.
In either a home or away fixture. I mean, there aren't many teams that can have that accolade. No, I think, look, in general, not just singling out Haaland, I don't think we gave any of their players a chance. I think, they all were getting frustrated. And I think I said it to Adam earlier. One of the things that I really found interesting was Pep having to resort to his standard tactic of getting his players to feign injury. 3 minutes in, Nathan Ake's on the floor saying he's done his knee. Goes through the whole palaver of being treated on the sideline. Gets the whole team to the touchline for tactical advice, to the point where the player is stripped on the sideline, substitute board about to go up, and then Torre says, "No, we're not making that change." I'm sorry, what? And then later on in the game, he does it again. Different player goes down, and the same thing. It was another one of those sit down moments where he can have 3 minutes of having the entire team in the dugout talking tactics. I would love nothing more for them to actually turn around and go, do you know what? If you've got a player down injured, you're not allowed to go to the touchline. Only the captain, maybe at most. And watch how quickly the likes of Pep and Arteta and Slot all pack it in with the time wasting tactic. Because that's all it was for me, was 3 incidents in that game where Pep ran out of ideas. So he was getting his players to intentionally lie down so he could get tactics and instructions to players. Pathetic.
Yeah, I mean, it is a tough one. I mean, that's why they sort of brought in the 30-second rule, that they have to go for 30 seconds. But when you see then how much time's wasted to allow the player to come back on.
Well, that's exactly what he did. Donnarumma took 30 seconds to take a goal kick.
Yeah, so they're going to have to either up the time off the pitch, to like something like 2 minutes, where it's actually going to be a substantial amount of time, or like you said, they stop every single player going across there. And if there's any instructions given, like you say, it can be to the captain maybe, and that's it. But then no one else can go there. Obviously, they use it for drinks, breaks, and things like that. But when you see it, they're all surrounding him and he's on the sideline actively coaching them, telling what to do, then you can clearly see it's a tactic. It's a loophole in the law, gamesmanship, whatever you want to call it. They have to do something about it because it is getting a bit ridiculous now. But look, let's not take, anything from that except that was Pep because Rajish got the better of him. He was tactically smarter than him, and what Pep had set up for wasn't what he saw. And like you say, that was evident straight away because of how quick Ake went down. And I think they weren't expecting us to set up like that. That they'd obviously got an idea in their head that we were going to, play sort of like one up front and, the five at the back sort of thing. And, the fact that we were in a different formation to it and we carried more threat with, my end of getting forward. I think that they just didn't really know how to cope with this, and obviously he had to then change things.
Yeah. Like I say, I think, for me, that would be something quite interesting for them to maybe trial at the World Cup. Player goes down injured, they get the medical attention, but they actually turn around and stop the that coaching element, because that for me would change so much. I know,
Yeah,
I don't know if you've seen it, Arsene Wenger's looking at trying to push this clear daylight offside rule.
yeah,
I mean, obviously we'll talk about their goal being disallowed because of I think it was Bernardo Silva's, ankle was offside. But, according to Man City, they were level. Again, it's that whole begging for the decision to go their way.
yeah. Unfortunately, though, with offside now, with a semi-automated system,
Yeah.
you're offside. It's basically black or white. There's a line there. The player's, in an advanced position,
Or
so he's
not.
offside. They're saying he's got no advantage from it. Well, if he's got no advantage from it, the ball doesn't end up in the back of the net.
Yeah. I think, to be fair, that was Haaland's biggest contribution to the game, was the flick on header for the disallowed goal.
Yeah.
After that, we woke up. That was the warning shot for me. That disallowed goal was the warning shot, and the lads after that went, "Oh, hang on a minute, we can't let that happen again," and they didn't.
No, they were, like I say, everyone, I think we should mention Alderete as well. I thought he was immense,
Immense.
and for a game where, missing Ballard, who has been the strength at the back, winning all the headers and stuff for the last few games now, for Alderete and Mukiela to step up the way they have done, I mean, it's going to make it difficult on Sunday, how he sets up at Tottenham, and if Ballard is fit, if he comes back in the team.
Yeah, and you say it's a good headache to have. But no, I was genuinely really proud of the lads. I thought for me, everyone played their part.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the crowd as well played their part.
Oh,
You
massively.
know,
I mean, yeah, obviously it was quite an emotional game. Obviously it was the memorial match, so for both teams to put out the wreaths, and then also obviously the sort of holding up of the photographs of loved ones. Yeah, look, the start of the game it was very emotional, but I think from pretty much kickoff to the 96th minute, we didn't let up. We
yeah,
just stayed on top of them. And do you know what? I'll give City's fans their due. They also did really well. They were noisy. They were loud. They brought a full attendance. You know, not an easy feat when you think about the lack of transport options on bank holidays. So, yeah, for me, they did really well.
yeah, yeah. I think you're right there. I think we should give them a bit of a shout out there because you got to commend them on that on New Year's Day, an
Hmm.
evening kickoff, like you say, where there's no real public transport options, and they took up the full allocation, filled it, and yet a team that's just up the road had to send back tickets, because they couldn't sell them all.
No, precisely that, and that's massive. Massive props to the City fans for making that effort on a very cold bank holiday, New Year's Day fixture, and like you said, fans from 20 mile down the road, classing that as Durham, by the way, not up the river. Um, struggling to get to us. But look, I mean, for you, was there any other things you wanted to discuss about the City game other than just has anyone seen Haaland?
Yeah, I mean, this is it. It's, you're going to get all the memes and stuff. I mean, I've seen a couple with, Nordi and Alderete pushing a pram with Haaland in it, crying and things. It's, I mean, to say it's just one of those for 0-0. It was an absolutely fantastic game. And I just think that, the lads have set that benchmark really high. I mean, that's a team I think we learnt lessons from playing at their place. With the two quick goals down there, which sort of like knocked us a bit, but we had chances in that game as well. If it was another day, we may have scored some. I thought the performance overall by the lads was really, really good. I think, we carried that threat going forward. It's just a bit of a shame that nothing seems to be sort of like going in at that end of the pitch at the moment. I mean, I know we're defending well, but, like I said in the preview, we're not scoring enough, which is why I wanted my ender on. So, yeah, I mean, I think, we just got to hope that, maybe we bring a sort of old-fashioned, sort of like Kevin Phillips type player in January, to try and get a few goals.
Yeah, I mean, look, do we need another striker? I don't know. Do we just need to get our strikers shooting and firing in the right way? Maybe. At the end of the day, this is what we can't keep doing: is every window crying out saying we need a striker, we need a striker, we need a striker. Man City have got a striker there that's on £500,000 a week ish, and he was kept to a bit part role. So I don't know if it necessarily is a striker that's the problem, but the service they might get or getting to them. But it's a hard one because for me, it does frustrate me that every window we do go down this rabbit hole of chasing strikers. Every team in the top three divisions of Europe chase strikers. And are there any number nines out there? It's hard.
I think that's the thing. I don't think there's actually many number nines out there. Obviously, I mean, you look at Calvert-Lewin and what he's doing at Leeds at the moment, but there's not many players like him around. That's the sort of player that we could do with someone like that. But obviously, the problem is with Calvert-Lewin, he's in a great run of form at the minute. But by the end of January, he's going to be injured and miss the rest of the season.
Well, this is it, isn't it? I mean, he's only recently started shooting and firing for them as well when you think about it. So, yeah, it's hard. Look, I know the window's now open, so these conversations will happen more frequently. But I think as a squad, we can probably focus on other areas to bolster rather than another striker. Because for me, you bring another nine in, who's going? You sending Wilson, Mayenda, or Brobby out?
Yeah, I mean, there is that.
And you look at Mayenda's performance last night. I wouldn't want to send him out on loan. You're going to send him where? The Championship, potentially somewhere in Europe, and you could use him. He played phenomenally for me yesterday.
Yeah, I think Mayenda's going to have a big impact for the rest of the season for us. With his directness and pace, it's going to frighten defenders. I mean, I know obviously we got Tottenham Sunday, which, last season they were shipping goals. This season they have got a little bit better at defending, but, then you've got all the Tottenham fans complaining that this isn't the Tottenham style of football and they're not happy with Thomas Frank. etc. But yeah, I think like my ender could have a big impact on teams like that. Like we said, we've got games coming up thick and fast now, and obviously with the AFCON, every single player that we sent over, their team's qualified for the knockout rounds, so they're not coming back early. So we are going to be a bit stretched at the moment, so we are going to have to use that squad.
Yeah, I was going to say we haven't got the biggest squad as it is. So, yeah, absolutely. Sending the likes of a Mayenda out on a loan or Rig out on a loan is probably quite a dangerous thing to do this early in the window with AFCON still ongoing. I mean, look, let's talk about Tottenham. Obviously, a local job for you. What's your thoughts on Tottenham? Obviously, I know you just mentioned Thomas Frank there, but in general, what do you think we can expect?
Um, I think we can expect a lot easier game than what most people think we are. The problem is with Tottenham, at their new stadium, they're just not performing this season. They seem to be under pressure. The fans get on their back quite quick. I think if we can get off to an early start, and get a quick goal or something, then I can see, their fans getting on their backs. Mistakes, they've got mistakes in them. I don't think their goalkeeper's really up to Premier League level, Vicario. I think he's too error prone. I mean, the thing is, though, with Tottenham as well, it's hard to tell at times who's fit and who isn't because they seem to have players in and out that team constantly. Obviously, Johnson's just left and gone to Crystal Palace. So that's one striking option there without. Not that he was really firing. I mean, I think that Solanke's still out injured. Which sort of means they've got Richarlison up top, and he's not. He's never been the most prolific of goal scorers. And then they've got other players, like Xavi Simons that they brought in, which everyone was raving about, but he's not done anything. He's not pulling up trees or anything in the league. He just seems to be a normal sort of player. It's a real tough one. It all depends on who they put out there. I mean, obviously, you've got lots of James Maddison, which on his day is fantastic.
Yeah.
But is he injured again? Who knows? It's a real sort of like tough one to say, and I think that our most important thing is to just be exactly the same as against City. Be hardworking, attack them, with numbers, go at them, and hopefully tear them apart, with a couple of early goals. And I think if we do get that, then like I say, it's going to be quite an easy afternoon for us.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely spot on with their suspensions and injuries. I mean, at the minute, they've got Kulusevski out injured, potentially going to be back end of the month, as in January. They've got Ndugi out until the middle of the month. Madison's rumoured to be out until May, so I know he's focusing on his darts career at the minute. That seems to be all he's up to. Bergval's potentially injured with a groin issue. Xavi Simons is suspended for this one after his red against Liverpool, I believe.
Right. Yeah.
Serious foul play, wasn't it? The studs across the calf.
Yeah. 3 games for that.
I'm looking at you, Luke. And then Solanke's rumoured to be out until the end of the month as well. So yeah, Spurs have got their own problems in terms of injuries, but the list as long as ours for people missing, because we've obviously still got, like you've said, a lot of the lads away on AFCON, and then Ballard's still 50-50, although I think he's more 80-20 available. Yeah, it's a hard one. I mean, the new Tottenham ground, I've been there a few times myself. It's an impressive stadium, but it doesn't seem to be, for me, anywhere near as intimidating a place to go as White Hart Lane used to be. I could be wrong, but for me, I just feel that it's become a bit of a bowl stadium rather than a cauldron. I mean, you're You've been out that way before as well. I mean, what do you think
Yeah,
the
I mean,
same?
it is one of those things, I think, because it is this, £1 billion stadium and the facilities there are absolutely amazing. And I think it has become a bit of a tourist trap where, you're not getting as many of the hardcore fans there. Plus, a lot of them are disillusioned with the club. They wanted, obviously, Daniel Levy to go. He went. Nothing's really changed. They seem to put themselves under a lot of pressure. And obviously that, you know, Spursy thing as it is, it'd just be nice to go there with confidence. I don't think we should be frightened of anyone in this league. I mean, you've got to think what we've done this season so far, with the exception of sort of like City away, Burnley away, which was obviously dismal, Man United away, we've been competitive. Well, I'll say even in the City away match, which we lost 3-0, we were competitive in it.
Yeah.
And like we said, I mean, the United game, that could have been so much different, with the foul on Traore, which they then booked him for diving. If the referee had actually, or VAR had intervened, which they should have done, because it's a serious foul play by Fernandez. It was a red card.
Yeah, just
So,
on protected
know,
sides, though, aren't they?
yeah, but, but we've not been anywhere, apart from, say, that Burnley game. We've always made a good account for ourselves. I mean, even away at Brighton, which obviously, is a tough place to go. It was another, obviously, 0-0, but it wasn't a boring 0-0 as such. So I just think that we just got to go there with confidence and just hope that, my end of Brobby, Isidore, Xhaka, Lafay, whoever it is, has got the shooting boots on. And it'd be nice for a striker or a midfielder to pop up with 2 goals in a game, from one person, and get the confidence right up there. I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean that's one of the hardest things, isn't it? Confidence. How many players feed on confidence, and Isidore gave an interview to, I think he's Andy Sixsmith, one of the local journos, saying that he openly admits his confidence has gone since he had his daughter. He doesn't begrudge obviously having his little one, but he said that since having her, his head's all over the place. Well, the hardest thing there is, do you play him in the hope he gets some goals and gets his confidence back, or do you drop him because you can't have a player with no confidence struggling in front of goal? It's a catch-22 for me. I think talking about the Spurs game, it's another start for Brobby, in my opinion. I would love nothing more than for us to go 2 up top, but we haven't got the depth of squad to do it.
yeah, I think Robbie as well at the minute, he's holding the starting shirt. I think Isidore coming off the bench is probably the better option. Even though saying that going back to the Man City match, there was one point on it when he sort of gave up running down Donnarumma. I think he could have got to the ball and he sort of gave it up a bit too early. So yeah, if his confidence not there, but it just needs one to go in. It doesn't matter where it hits him. If it comes off him and finds the back of the net, then he scored a goal, and that's what it's about, really. It's just about getting that confidence. I mean, I'd love, like I say, one of them somewhere to pop up with a couple of goals, get a brace, and you know, be flying.
Yeah,
Because that's what we need. We need somebody now. The back end of the season, we are halfway through the season now. We need someone now to start chipping in with serious amount of goals. If we could get one of the strikers or midfielders into double figures, between now and the end of the season, which, look, it's not impossible. You have a good run. I mean, you look at Calvert-Lewin, 7 in 6. It doesn't take a lot to get these streaks going. And if you've got a lad with confidence, and I think with the teams that we've got coming up, this month alone, we've just been through, what we thought was the perceived month of hell. And, now, obviously, Tottenham away, which to me, there's points there to take. Brentford away, tough place to go, especially midweek. But we showed at the Stadium Light when we played them that we won't give in, and we'll get points. Then obviously there's Everton in the Cup, which is a bit of a throwaway one, but we haven't really got the squad to rotate it too much. Plus, as well, it'd be nice to have a decent cup run for a change, get the confidence up. The fact that we are sitting on 29 points already, we're not desperate for survival and then have to worry about making sure we stay up. Realistically now, even though mathematically we're not safe yet, but realistically, we've got to be in the position now where we're thinking we are going to be a Premier League team next season. So why not go for a cup? And then obviously it's Crystal Palace at home and then West Ham away. So we've got the potential there to possibly take 10 or 12 points from them 4 league games.
Potentially. Yeah, I mean, like you say, they're not easy places to go, but hopefully, like you say, we've got it in us to go and get those points. For me, when we faced Burnley at the start of Feb, by then we should be able to say, right, we're safe now. That should be a good home dry and enjoy what's left of the season to see what comes of it. But yeah, let's quickly wrap this up then with some predictions. I know Adam texted us his. He's going with a lazy 2-1 win. I think that's just the go-to for him these days. Gone are the days of his 3-4 nils. What's your score prediction for this one, mate?
I think we're going to unlock them. I do think that we're going to get some goals in this. I think this might be the match where we, score a few. I'm going to go for 4-1.
Okay.
I'm going to say that we're going to be 3-0 up before they score. And then when they get one back, they'll probably then start pushing higher again, and we'll just catch them on the counter to wrap it up.
I'll take it. So you think we're going to do an Arsenal to them? Because that finished 4-1, didn't it? A few months, November. So, yeah, look, I mean, I think for me, I was going to go for the 2-1, but like I say, Adam's decided that's now his default. So, do you know what? Let's go down there. Let's go and get a clean sheet. Let's go and finish this 2-0. I think it'd be quite an interesting place to go. The absolute confidence from the lads if they can go down to Tottenham, start the London tour again with 3 points. That puts us into the 30s. Then, I believe at one point 30 was the magic number. Now all of a sudden everyone's saying 40 is the magic number, but we'll see what comes of it. I mean, I haven't really got much else to say on this one, to be fair. I mean, is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, Wolves survived last season on 28, and we've already gone above that. In half the games of what Wolves did it in last season. No, I think, whoever scheduled the games, Tottenham away, Brentford away, and West Ham away, all within 3 weeks, is absolutely ridiculous. There's no thought gone into the travelling fans whatsoever there. Yeah, it's all right for me. I'm not going to deny that one. But, for obviously the lads that are travelling down, to them games, and like I say, you've got the Sunday game, so you've got to get back up Sunday night, work Monday morning. You got a Wednesday night game the same week, which again you've then got to try and get back to, King's Cross for the train home. I think there is one at 11:30, so you would get back, but you get in back home at 6 in the morning. And again, if you got work, I mean, and I'll
That's a
do,
lot of traffic.
yeah. And you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe the West Ham game has changed as well for TV, hasn't it?
I believe so. I think I want to put that down as a daft kickoff. I know the
Yeah,
the Everton one's a midday kickoff, isn't it? Yeah,
yeah,
the West Ham
12,
game, half past 12.
yeah, 12:30. So that's a really, really early start. And like I say, there's no real thought gone into it for the fans, which, is, at the end of the day, football is for the fans.
Well, no, of course it is. That's the bit that frustrates me with it all. But look, we could go on all day about the moving, changing fixtures, and let's not even start talking about how much it costs if you want to watch it on these TV channels. That's just another joke, but that's a thing for another day. To our listeners, look, I want to say thank you everyone for joining us. I hope you've had a fantastic Christmas and New Year. Hopefully, everyone's got some nice new Sunderland merch to be rocking around in. And for those making the trip down to Tottenham, have an absolutely cracking journey. Obviously, listen to the pod, tell us your thoughts and feelings, and then we will catch you all on the next one where we go through hopefully 3 points at Tottenham and talk about the up and coming game against Brentford. See you on the next one.